Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by today. Today I'm doing my May wrap up. I'm going to be talking to you about the 14 books that I read in the month of May, plus a book that I decided to DNF. Not for any particular reason, just that it wasn't my taste in a book. But yeah, so I'm going to be talking to you about that today. If you have not already, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel down below, like this video, comment, and let me know what you are planning to read in the month of June or what you read in the month of May. We'll just have a little conversation down there. But yeah, so I'm going to get into it. These are really in no particular order. If I made a video about specific books, I'm not going to sit here and just go on and on and on about them. Most of these books I did put in videos anyways, so I will link those videos down below if you missed those, or if you just want to rewatch them, because why not? You know, I rewatch videos, so anyways. So the first two books I'm going to talk about are Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. These are both rereads for me. I decided to pick the series back up because I knew for the month of May I was going to be reading nothing but fantasy, so I figured that this would be a really good way to reintroduce myself with the genre itself. I gave Sorcerer's Stone 5 stars and I gave Chamber of Secrets 4 stars. I really did enjoy getting back into this, and I do plan on continuing the series. Actually, book 3 is on one of my upcoming TBRs, so I really do want to continue with this series. I've also been reading the books and then going back and watching the movies as well, so that's been really fun. But I did pick these books back up. The next book I'm going to talk about is Coraline, and this is by Neil Gaiman. I did not really enjoy this book. I can understand why. It is a fan favorite basically for younger generations and those that grew up with this book and grew up with the movie. I personally just didn't all care for it, but this is a book about a girl named Coraline. She is, I think, how old is she? I think she's about 10, 8 or 10, something like that, and she is needing some sort of adventure, and she finds this one door in her house that has always kind of like creeped her out and creeped everybody else out. She's told to stay away from it. She has neighbors that live a couple doors down from her that tell her that she is in grave danger, and that doesn't stop her from going into this door. She goes into the door into an alternate universe, and she finds herself stuck. So she has to find her way back to her parents and back to her original world. So I don't know, it just wasn't my favorite. I did enjoy all the pictures in it, all the illustrations, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. But I do understand why people love this book so much. The next book that I am going to talk about is Cersei, and this is by Madeline Miller. This is about the goddess Cersei, the witch that turns men into animals and supposedly eats them and stuff like that. But I ended up giving this book 4 stars. I really did enjoy this book. It was just slow at some parts, especially when Odysseus showed up. I really did enjoy this book. If you have not read it yet, if you have not read it yet and you really like Greek mythology, I think you would really enjoy this book. The author, I thought, made a great representation of Cersei, that she just wasn't this evil woman, that there were things that happened to her and there were reasons why she did what she did, and she's just not this evil villain that she is portrayed in regular mythology. So I really did enjoy this book, and if Madeline Miller writes any more books, I do plan on picking them up. The next 3 books that I'm going to talk about were NetGalley ARCs, and they were ebooks. And the first book is The Down Days, and this is by Elsa Hugo. I really enjoyed this book. It was very relevant to what we're going on through today, because in this book there is a laughing disease that has taken over the city that they're in. It's a little city in Africa that they're in, but it's all over. It's like a worldwide pandemic, just basically how it is right now. But this laughing disease takes people over, and it the first steps of it. It makes people laugh. The second step is people go unresponsive, then their body starts to deteriorate, their organs turn to mush. They just evaporate basically into thin air. But we follow a bunch of characters. One character is named Sans, and he is like a hair dealer for wigs and extensions. That's a really big thing in this book. And then we also follow a person that collects dead bodies, and she encounters this one girl named Tomorrow that asks for her help because she is a private investigator as well. And it's a wild ride. If you like science fiction, if you like to read about pandemics and just a quirky novel that's going to keep you entertained from beginning to end pretty much, then you will really enjoy this book. The book I read was another art from NetGalley, and this is The Hollow Gods, and this is by A.J. Vrana, and I freaking love this book. This book is going on my top 10 for the year. I gave this book 5 stars. Like, it was an instant 5 stars for me. This is a paranormal romance fantasy book, and it's about people that can shift into animals, and it's about a dark, cursed town. It's just, I loved this book. It was great. Like, it caught my attention from the beginning until the end, and it was just, this book made me realize that paranormal fantasy is like yes. But if you want to know more about this book and more about the Down Days and more about the next book that I'm about to talk about, check the video out below. I did an entire vlog on it, and it is so good. It comes out in July, I believe. I'll put the release date down below or on the screen. But if you have not picked this up and you are interested and you like paranormal romance, fantasy, and something that's super dark and has a dark atmosphere, and it's just something that's going to captivate you from beginning to end, you really need to check this out because it's really, really good. This book that I read from NetGalley was This Eternity of Masks and Shadows, and this is by Kirsten Knight. I gave this book 4 stars. It was really good as well, and it was all about mythology, but Kirsten Knight put a lot of different types of mythology, so we're following all these different types of mythical gods, from Norse mythology to Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Japanese mythology, Chinese mythology, all of those different things. It was all in there, and it was one of those that I really, really liked. And Kirsten Knight did a really good job about keeping everything organized, and you didn't really get, or I didn't get confused about all the different characters because there's so many characters. If there's a lot of characters in a book, I kind of find myself like, I don't know. Yeah, anyways. But this is about a girl whose mom ends up killing herself at the beginning of the novel, and she's trying to figure out why her mom did this. Her mom is a god. She's the goddess of the sea, and she's just wanting to find out why her mom did this, because she knows her mom, and she knows that her mom would never have left her in the predicament that she did, and she would have never done this to herself. And the mystery of that just goes on throughout the novel. You come across this polar bear god, and he is brooding. He doesn't like people. He's just wanting to get his job done, and for people to leave him alone. And our main character Karen, I guess I should have said that, but our main character Karen, she's just, you need to help me, you're gonna help me with this, and I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna do this, and she's just headstrong. And finally he helps her, and they just go on this adventure together, and it is so good. I gave it 4 stars. The next 2 of the books that I read are by Cynthia St. Aubin, I believe. I'm going to put the pictures right here. But the first book was kind of confusing because it said on Goodreads that it's called Once Upon a Werewolf, but on Amazon it says that it's called Love Sucks. So I was kind of confused about that. But it follows a girl named Hannah who is just awkward. She's quirky. she's one of those girls that you never know what's going to come out of her mouth, and she's recently just gone through a divorce, and her husband just up and left for no reason really, didn't give her any kind of warning about it. She gets this job at an art gallery, and she meets this guy named Mark Abernathy, and he's very mysterious, and she just wants to get to know him. She becomes his assistant through kind of relying on her application, saying that she has all this experience within the art world, but she really doesn't. But he kind of knows that, and this is a very slow burn romance. You really don't get the romance part until the end of it, but they just go back and forth, and they are constantly, they're constantly just bantering back and forth, and the banter's funny. I thought it was funny. But it's very, very fast paced. It was just what I needed, because I had been reading really dark fantasy, and I needed something light and airy and had romance in it. And again, paranormal romance obviously is my thing, because I flew through this book too. And then the second book in the series is called Love Sucks, and this is again just following Hannah and Mark on their adventure to get together. But this book has werewolves, plus it has vampires, and I really can't say too much else about it because I don't want to ruin it. But just know that the first one just has a set of werewolves. The second one in this series has has werewolves plus vampires. So if you're into that type of thing and you really like fast-paced, funny, quirky novels, I would give these a try. And they're also on Kindle Unlimited, and I believe they're only 99 cents if you don't have Kindle Unlimited on Amazon. So if you are interested, I would advise you to pick those up. But I gave Love Sucks 5 stars. So Once Upon a Werewolf 4 stars. Love Sucks was 5 stars. Hey guys, this is me from the future. I'm editing my video, and I just realized that I did not explain Love Bites or Love Sucks very well, because I figured it left out very key parts. But both novels have a sort of like detective sense to them, because there's girls that have been coming up dead, and Mark Abernathy is like the root of all of these murders. Any woman that he has ever come across ends up dead. So that's a really big part of this novel, or of these novels as well. It has like a detective sense to it. There's also a love triangle that's in here. I just wasn't in like the correct mind space when I filmed this video because of everything that's going on in the world. I didn't explain it. I didn't explain it very well at all. But just know that Love Bites and Love Sucks have murders in them. There's a mystery about that. There's a love triangle. And they're just quirky little novels, and I thought that they were fun. But just thought that I would let you know. So yeah. And the next books were in my last video that I put up, the my challenge video that I failed, so I'm not really going to talk about these too much. I'm just going to introduce them to you and tell you my star rating and why I started them that way, and yeah. So the first book that I picked up was Scythe, and this is by Neil Shusterman. I gave this 5 stars. At first I was very conflicted because of some of the scenes in here that I did not agree with, but I really do understand why they're in there. And talking it out, as you will see in that clip if you go watch that video, I came to the conclusion that this is a 5-star novel. I really did enjoy this. This is about a dystopian world, and in this world only scythes can glean people, which is basically killing somebody. Or it is killing somebody, not basically. But we have 2 characters that are starting their apprenticeship, and it just goes on their journey of the apprenticeship, and there's some questionable people that show up, and during their apprenticeship our 2 main characters get split up because of a tragedy that happens, and our main character Rowan, he's the male character, but he gets put with this psycho named Scythe Goddard, and Scythe Goddard has not an ounce of good in him whatsoever. He has a god complex, and again I go through all that, but Citra or Citra. I really don't know how to pronounce her name. But the person that takes her on as her apprentice is a lot more laid back, and she's very forthcoming with information as to why she does what she does even though she doesn't enjoy it, and why she gleans people the way that she does. So this book is very, very hard hitting. It's very dark, but it also has an aspect of friendship. It also has an aspect of good versus evil, and it's just a really, really good book, and I do plan on picking up the next ones. But yeah, I can see why this is like on everybody's favorite list, but this is probably going to be one of my top 10 at the end of the year too, most likely. But I really did enjoy this. The next book I read was Mage Slave, and this is by R.K. Thorne, I believe. Yes, R.K. Thorne, and I gave this 4 stars. This is about a girl named Miara, I believe that's how you say her name, and she is a mage slave. And we also have a guy named Avon, and he is the heir to a kingdom. And Miara is sent on a quest to actually kidnap Avon. She is successful with this. She can turn into different animals and all that kind of stuff. That is her power that she has, is to turn into animals and to suck life out of things, basically. But she is successful with kidnapping Avon, and the reason why she is the reason why she has to go on this mission is because she has a specific emblem on her back that is branded into her, and her slave owners basically make her, like, they put a spell in it, in the emblem, that makes her do these things, so she can't get out of it. It's basically an unspoken agreement through magic. But again, she is successful with kidnapping Avon, and she takes him back to her home, and it just follows their journey and how they do things in their relationship, and there's a romance, and it was just really good. I did end up giving it 4 stars. The next book I read was one of those books that I just picked up on a whim because I needed to for a challenge, and I ended up loving it. This is The Philosopher's Flight. This is by Tom Miller. It's about an 18-year-old named Robert who is wanting to be a hover for the rescue and evacuation team that is in his society, but the rescue and evacuation team is only for women. So he's still wanting to do that, but he has to go through a lot of trials, and he has to go through a lot of issues to get there. He does end up getting into an all-girls university, and he meets this girl named Danielle who has also been in a lot of wars. She's 22. They start to form a romance. Do you see a theme here? Romance. So I found out that I like romantic based fantasy. But I really did enjoy this book. This was one of those books that I just picked up on a whim because I needed it for the challenge that I was doing. And I ended up flying through this, and I ended up loving it. And I cannot wait for the next book to come out in December. If you haven't read this yet, you really need to. You really, really need to. Then I picked up The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I ended up giving this 3 stars. This was the most controversial book that I did end up reading for the month of May, and I can understand why it's a controversial book. I ended up listening to it on audio because I don't know, I wouldn't have been able to get through this if I had to like physically read it. But I did enjoy the audiobook because the narrator that was telling the story did sound a lot like the woman that plays June's character in the actual show. And I don't want to get too much into this because I do say a lot about it in my blog that I put up. But this is about a society called Gilead that has decided to follow the Bible, very specifically the Old Testament, and they take away a lot of the rights that all of their citizens in the United States had. And a lot of people had their children taken away from them. A lot of people had their family taken away from them when the government decided to make this switch, and there was really no warning that the switch was being made. But our main character, June, has been chosen to be a handmaid because she is able to have children. Plus, she's already had a child before, so they know that she can bear a child. But she is placed with this family that the commander and the wife cannot have kids. So handmaids are put into families that cannot have children. The only choice that she is given is basically if she wants to be a handmaid or if she wants to get sent to the concentration camp, basically, where they just go and they stick women there and they just end up dying from radiation and fumes and everything like that. And this book was just, it was very, very dark. I was supposed to read this book in my sophomore year of college, but I decided that I was not going to, and I just read the Cliff Notes. But I can see why this is a classic. I can see why people read this constantly, and I can see why they made a TV show about it. But some of the twists and turns that this story took is just wasn't my cup of tea. But I'm glad that I did end up reading this, and I do plan on picking up the Testaments. Because I've read that book is a lot better. I heard that book. That book has a lot more better ratings than this book, even though this book has like 4 stars, 4.5 stars on Goodreads. But anyways, yeah, so read that. The last book that I'm going to talk about before I talk about the book that I ended up DNFing in the month of May is The Warrior, Heir by Cinda Williams-Chima. Ended up giving this 3 stars. I really did like the beginning of this, and then I didn't like the middle, but then I liked the end. So the middle was very, very slow to me. I felt like this book could have been condensed a lot more than it was. But I do understand why all of that stuff was put in there, because we needed to know the history of the weapon. We needed to know the history of our main character. And our main character, his name is Jack. So I do understand why all that was put in there. This is a magical based book, but it is geared for younger audiences. And I don't know, it's very violent. Like, there's a lot of violent scenes in it. I would not put this book in my classroom because just how violent it was. But I did end up giving this 3 stars, but I am not going to continue with this series. This is The Grace of Kings, and this is by Ken Liu. I really had a hard time getting into this book. I only got to about the 150 page mark before I just decided to DNF it. This is a very political book, and it has a lot of characters, and it has a huge world. And this was the first book that I've ever read or tried to read like that. A lot of the books that I read are broken up into like a lot smaller books, and they have a lot more editions. But I do think that this book has a lot of potential, but it's just not my thing. And I do plan on passing this on to somebody that I know that will really like this, because they like political based big world fantasies. So that's that book. So my end thing right here, I ended up having 4 5-star novels, 6 4-star novels, 3 3-star novels, 0 2-star, 0 1-star, and 1 DNF. So I think that I did pretty good this month, considering that I don't read a lot of fantasy. But that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for continuing to come by. If you are new here, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below. Let me know what you read in the month of May. Let me know if you've read any of these books, what you thought about them. I will also have all of my other links to my videos down below, since I didn't go into great detail about every single one of these books. But again, just keep coming back, keep hanging out. I really, really do enjoy this process, and I really do love getting to interact with all of you. So I hope you have a good day.